So the artwork for Cyberpunk 2077 never ceases to amaze me. It's actually quite incredible when you take a look at what CD Projekt Red and what the concepts they've created before the game's launch and how many of them actually did make it in the final game. And yeah, this is exactly what we're gonna do in today's video. We have a ton of initial concepts at hand to go over. Many of them did make it in the final cut, many of them were changed along the way, and there's even more that never actually got to see the light of day, and a few of them might even point towards some future DLCs or even features that CD Projekt Red might implement at some point. So let's jump right into it. Now, the thing that is really interesting is that the majority of these concept arts were not just implemented in the game in a pretty good one-on-one like recreation, but many of them were just straight up implemented in-game exactly as they were drawn. Like for example, if you take a look at the North Oak Arasaka mansion, it's very close to how it is right now in the game, to the point that even the grass on the ground in many of these places looks exactly like that as well. So that was quite surprising to see. Of course, there's many more in there that we could talk about, like for example, the totem tent right here looks even better in game than it is in the initial concepts. What's interesting though is that we even have some missions that did make it in the final game, just like how they were portrayed at the very least in the concepts, like this early mission, I believe, with the Nomad starting path, where you kind of get chased by well, the corpos right there towards the end of it. So pretty interesting. Of course, there's many more, like I believe the Coyote Co bar is also being shown right here. I think it looks even better in game. There's also like the Jig street parts that definitely resemble that one over there, and even more so like one of the Voodoo Boys missions, like when you get to meet with their netrunners. Like this entire facility right here is almost a one-on-one recreation to the one in the concept art. But let's talk about some really interesting ones that we never seen in game, and we actually did wonder at some point, what if CD Projekt Red added some, well, mini games in Cyberpunk 2077. And to be more specific, if you ever play GTA San Andreas, it was always nice to go at the casino, maybe play some roulette, maybe some blackjack. Well, apparently, at least in the concept arts, we do have something like that recreated with a hologram right here, with a hologram dealer, of course. And apparently this is, I'm not really sure what this is, some cards game, probably blackjack, probably something different. I'm not really sure because I'm not familiar with these, but they look interesting. And check this out, they even had a function right here where you could see if the chips were used or not. So chips light up when used with different colors for different values. And yeah, it seems that a plain off chip can become any value and directly charge the back account when being used. And of course, we have a few more sketches over here with the backside and whatnot. So speaking of other types of missing features, like where are the barber shops? Well, in the concept arts, that's where they are, but not really, because in this version the barber shops can also remove your head, not just your hair. So that's quite interesting. No other details were given, but it would be nice to see something like this where you could go and see these changes being applied to your character, since yeah, I mean, customization is a big part of the game and whatnot. But there's actually more interesting stuff along the way that got me quite curious, because we do have robotic enemies already in the game. We have the drones, we have the smaller robots, we have the bigger, bulkier ones if you get too many police stars on you, but we didn't see too many variations of these. And it seems that if you take a look at the previous art for Cyberpunk, there are a ton of really interesting and different models that seem to be doing different kinds of things. So in this early concept right here, we can see that there's a person piloting this oversized robot, mechanical looking exomech, whatever it is, and it seems that whatever happened, somebody short-circuited from the outside. So it could have very well been that a netrunner might have hacked into it and caused the person inside to well, be forced to exit it, because yeah, it was about to collapse and maybe even explode. So that would have been really interesting to see somebody come out of these exomechs, so that you get to fight them in multiple types of stages. That would have definitely been really impressive. We also have some pretty interesting exoskeletons right here with like different stages of bulkiness. So on the far right, we have one that is pretty lightweight from what it seems. The one in the middle is a bit more bulky and also has a helmet, and the final one on to the left side is actually a full-blown suit that is probably just covers the entire body. So it would have been been really interesting to see some of these in the game as well, not just the robots that already exist. I mean, there's even a tank in the game already that you can use in one of the missions with Panem, so it would be really awesome to have a DLC like this where you go up against these and maybe even get a chance to control some really awesome supersized kind of robot to go up against the enemies, or who knows, just fight with them would be enough. But again, let me know down below what is your opinion on a DLC such as this. Now, speaking of stuff that again didn't make it in the game, let's take a look at some really interesting concept of a fireplace, full on animated. There's even like a GIF over here that kind of explains its function, and this makes me believe that this might have been a feature eventually planned for our what was supposed to be customizable V's apartment, because right now you can open up multiple safe houses by just, you know, doing missions with different important characters, but you never get to fully customize them outside of a few things here and there. Well, what if this was a scrapped feature where you could choose a fireplace and it would be descending like this to show you some really cool info over there, whatever that might have been. So yeah, something like how you customize V's apartment with the weapon rack. Could have been awesome to see this with the other props as well, especially since it seems that they already created a ton of these that fit thematically with one another, including like switches and even alarms and all that kind of stuff. But let's move over to some other initial concepts that did change along the way quite significantly, and here is a very early concept of V, or well, not really early, because at this point it looks like something that is in transition, not yet really close to the ones that we got in the trailers, and even more so to the ones in the game currently, but they are pretty close to that, including for the female V. Like, yeah, the jacket is still there, but the faces are quite different. So these changed quite a bit even compared to the trailers. It's quite surprising to see that their initial ideas were a little bit more wild than what it is right now in the game. I would have definitely loved to see a couple of these faces in Cyberpunk 2077's character creator. But what's cooler is the fact that some of these main characters in the game have changed quite a bit since their initial days. So yeah, Judy, for example, right here looks really close to what it is right now in the game, including the hairstyle. She does have some cyberware right here, which she doesn't really in the game, but I'm pretty sure that's just the BD over there over her head, as she's probably just doing some work on that. But yeah, check Panem right here. She is quite significantly different than the version we have right now in the game. Now, I'm not really sure if the face is exactly the same. To me, it looks completely different than the one in the game, as well as with the hairstyle, but the outfit is still pretty much the same, with, of course, the pants. The boots, I believe, are different, and of course, she also has that overall right there that kind of covers the upper body as well, and then her jacket, which again was different in the concepts. But personally, I just enjoy the current version of Panem way more than the ones in the concept art. So not everything in the concept arts is necessarily better than what we got in the game, as we've seen up until now. Maybe with the exception of Evelyn, for some reason I just like her idea a little bit more in the initial concept. She's still rocking almost the same outfit with some color swaps, but I just like the hairstyle a little bit more, maybe just me. They definitely made the bangs a little bit lower, and they definitely added more hair over there to the sides. So in this version, she's a little bit more wild than she is right now in the current version of the game. But by far the craziest one has to be Johnny Silverhand right here. Of course, Keanu Reeves is Keanu Reeves. He is doing an amazing job at recreating him, but I cannot help but think what Johnny Silverhand would have been if Keanu Reeves weren't to be playing this part, because he looks cool in the initial concept as well, like maybe a bit cooler too, because he definitely looks a bit more like a maniac in the concepts than he does right now in the game. Maybe it's just me. We have some really nice idea concepts right here that look very similar to what we already have, with the exception of the face. So he's still rocking the same hand that he has. He's still rocking even the spikes right there on them, and pretty much the outfit is exactly the same. Rocker Boy, Johnny Silverhand looking really crisp, and also he is featuring this pretty bad looking scar on his side. But these initial concepts were really interesting. Again, there's a ton of others in there for Johnny as well. You can see how they reiterated on it as time passed, but honestly, the one that we have right now in the game is interesting as it is. This is it with the art, of course. Now let me know down below which which of these concepts did you like the most and which one of these would you love to see in the game, including of course those initial character impressions. In the meantime, thanks so much for watching and I'll see you guys in the next one.